Hi guys, so my name is Christy and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my story. Me and my husband, we've been married for 12 years. Coming up in May will be 12 years. And we have struggled with infertility this whole time. Um, it was about a year into our marriage we decided that we wanted to have kids, that we want to go ahead and start trying to have kids. Um, so we started trying, and it was about 8 months into it, I think. We never really did anything to prevent having kids. So technically, we could have gotten pregnant the first year. I cannot talk today. But we didn't get pregnant the first year. And so about 8 months into like really trying and saying to ourselves in our heads, in our hearts, like, this is it. We want to have kids now. It's time to do it. So we tried for 8 months and I decided to go to my gynecologist. And at that point she said, everything looked good with me. I did have endometriosis when I was a teenager. And I was put on birth control and I had different treatments and procedures done. And eventually it went away on its own. And she said all that looked good. I looked pretty healthy. I did have that procedure done where they insert the tube and insert dye inside to see if there's any blockages. And I had that done around that time, and everything was healthy with me. So we had to go to a male infertility doctor, see if there was anything going on with my husband. And at that time, he had kind of a low sperm count, but they still said that he had a lot of good sperm in there. So there's nothing really preventing me from getting pregnant on his end. So he likes to take a lot of hot showers, so they're thinking that's probably why he kind of was a little bit on the low end. But everything was looking pretty good. I'm sorry, I'm washing clothes, so if you hear my dryer, that's what it is. And I have my doors open because it's so nice today. I get distracted easy. But I just want to tell you a little bit about us, how our infertility story started. And that's kind of where the base of it started. And we kept doing what we was doing for a while. My doctor put me on Clomid and metformin, and I started taking it, and I think it was probably about 6 more months after we went through, after I did the procedure with the dye and everything. She decided to go ahead and do that procedure one more time because she doesn't think that it was done properly, because it wasn't her doing it. I went to the hospital and it was like a lab tech guy. He did it and he acted like he had no idea what he was doing, and like he's never seen anybody down there. So it was a pretty bad experience for me. And so she decided she wanted to do it herself. So I went to the same hospital and everything, and I go in, I'm thinking, oh great, the same guy's going to be in here. But then she showed up and she was able to do it. It was in the same room and everything. So she did it, and she told me that after having that procedure done, that I will be extremely fertile for the next 3 months. Sure enough, a month later, I became pregnant. I was so super excited. I mean, I had a feeling I was pregnant, and I told my husband, I I'm sorry, I keep losing my track. There's a car alarm going across the street. Um, but anyways, I told my husband I feel like I'm pregnant, and he's getting ready to take a shower, and I said I'm going to go to Walmart. So I get in the car and I drive to Walmart, and all the way to Walmart, I'm praying to God, let this be it. If it's your will for us to become pregnant, I just hope this is it. And I just prayed that, he would, give us the opportunity to become pregnant. I go to Walmart, get the test. I came home, I took the test, and I saw a plus sign, and I screamed. I was so super excited. My husband came in, like, what's going on? What happened? He thought I hurt myself or something. And at the time, my brother-in-law lived with us, and he lived upstairs. We had a 2-story house, and he lived upstairs. And he come downstairs like, what's wrong? What's going on? And I'm like, I'm pregnant. I was so super excited. And my husband's family, his parents, they lived next door to us at the time. So I ran across to the next door and told everybody, screaming, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. And I was so excited that, most people wants to wait, to tell people that they're pregnant just to make sure everything's okay with the baby and everything's okay with you. And I was just so overwhelmed and so overexcited that I had to tell everybody. And so I was just going on telling everybody that I'm pregnant. And I made an appointment to the doctor. 2 weeks later, I went to the doctor and did blood work, and everything. And my blood work was fantastic. Everything looked great. And I scheduled an appointment, I think it was a week or two later. It was so long ago. It's been 11 years ago, so almost. And I think it was a week or two later, and we wasn't exactly sure when I got pregnant, so she wanted to do, I did another blood test and that same day, and then she wanted to do an ultrasound to see if everything looked okay with the baby. So she goes to do the ultrasound. I was so excited. I was holding my husband's hand, and I was like, I remember looking up at him, and I'm like, this is it. We're going to see our baby. Yay, we're going to see our baby. It's just going to be this little tiny thing, but it's a baby. It's ours. We made this thing. I was so excited. And she did the ultrasound thing. She turned the screen towards me, and she showed me, this dot here is the baby, and showed me, this is my uterus and everything. And I was just looking at it. I was thinking to myself, this far along, I would think that it'd be more like a bean than like just a little tiny dot. And so I was thinking to myself, I hope everything's okay. And she was like, yeah, it's good. And I'm looking for like a heartbeat, or trying to listen to see if there's a heartbeat going on. And she says, this is your heartbeat. And then she turns the screen away, and she goes, And like right then, it felt like my heart just sunk to my stomach. And she said, well, there's not a heartbeat yet, so it must be still too early for the heartbeat for us to hear it. It doesn't mean that the heart isn't beating. It's just the ultrasound isn't, is not detecting it. So, anyways, went home. We went on about our day or whatever. A couple days later, me, my brother-in-law, and my husband all worked at the same place. It was a pet store, like a I can't talk. Distribution center, and it was called Jack's Pets, but it no longer exists. But at the time, that's where we worked, and me and my brother-in-law worked in a place called the animal room. That's where all the small animals were kept. And my husband worked in the fish room where all the fish was kept. And I remember working, we went to work, we got up to go to work about 5:30, and I remember sitting down on my dining room table, and I was bent down to put my tennis shoes on. I was tying my shoes, and I looked up at my husband, and I said, his sister Hannah told me one day, because I would ask her different advice about being pregnant, and she said, there'll be some days that you will feel like you're not pregnant. And I looked up at my husband and I said, today feels like one of those days that I feel like I'm not pregnant. And because I started having pregnancy symptoms, like deodorant would make me, nauseous. I would have cravings, and I just felt like I was pregnant. I just felt like blah. And I just felt, I could feel the light, almost like the life inside of me. And that day, it just felt like there was nothing. So we went to work. We had to be there at 6. And about 11 o'clock, I think we was going to be off about 1 or 2. And about 11 o'clock that day, I was sweeping the floor around where we kept the rabbits. And I was sweeping the floor, and I bent down to sweep up, take the broom to sweep up into the dustpan. And when I bent down, I felt like a pop. And right then I knew something was bad. So I looked up at my brother. I dropped everything in my hands, and I looked at my brother-in-law, and I said, something's wrong. And he's like, what, like with you or the baby? I was like, yeah. And he told me to sit down, and there was a desk, and I sat down at the desk. And he goes out of the room, and I think he was getting my boss. And he comes back in, and he's like, you need to go to the bathroom? And I said, I gotta go to the bathroom.